What's up, everybody? You're listening to Obsidian Radio News. I am your host, Mumia Obsidian Ali. It is Tuesday, July the 11th, 2017. Thank you so much for listening. I greatly and deeply appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to get right to it. There was a very interesting story that's been floating around on the internet over the past few months, and it was sent to me and brought to my attention by my good friend and brother from another mother, Martial Law, holding forth out in Silicon Valley. Sent me this very interesting story. Let me check and see what the website was that this originally came from. This comes from worldparlo.com. And the name of the article was Men Who Marry Chubby Women Are Happier, Says Science. This was originally posted on June 17th, 2017 by one Miss Amanda Green. She writes, in a new study conducted by the Department of Psychology at UNAM, that's the Autonomous National University of Mexico, that's what that means, that acronym, it was discovered that men who were in a relationship with chubby women were 10 times happier than those who were with skinny women. Here are the 10 reasons why, she says. Number 1, there's more to love, pounds more. Number 2, they tend to be sweeter, literally and figuratively. 2 words in response to that. Triggly-puff. Number 3, they are foodies. They certainly are foodies, no doubt about that. And men love chowing down with their girls. Number 4, they can cook better. Oh, really? Is that right? Is that right? And we, the big trade-off with dealing with a big girl is that she, can give Julia Child a run for her money. Woo! Number 5, their hugs are nicer. Chubby people are better to hug, no exceptions. I was going to say something pretty mean in response to that, but I ain't going to do that. Number 6, they are funnier. More laughs equal more happiness. 2 words in response. Chanty Banks. Let's move to number 7. Curves. Enough said. Yeah, one big curve. Like a beach ball. Number 8, buying them presents is easy, which would be chocolate and anything else that's edible. And number 9, no stupid diets ever, which means more eating out opportunities. More. How do you like it? Let me get number 10. Number 10, less pressure for the guy to be fit. Gym sucks anyways. Well, what I did was I, sent this along, this little story here, you want to call it that, to Professor David M. Buss, who I had on the show last month. Had a nice interview with him. And he got back to me, and I'm going to read to you what I said to him. But it got me to thinking because he had asked, he liked to see the actual study. And he was very skeptical of all this, men married to fat women are 10 times as happy and all that. And he asked me for the actual scientific article, and my response was I didn't have an actual scientific article, just the article that was sent to me by Martial Law. But what I decided to do in the run-up to preparing for this segment, I said, let me go up online and see if I can find any other articles. And sure enough, I did find a few. I'm going to put those in the comment section below so you can see them for yourself. This one that I'm reading right here comes from Snopes.com. And it was written on January 15, 2017. Did new research prove that men who marry chubby women are happier? While we cannot rate the question addressed by the study, we can rate the study itself as apparently non-existent. Dang, dang, dang. Let me see. On January 15, 2017, the Argentinian news website Nuevo Diario, among others, published an article with the translated headline, "Study confirms that chubby women make a man happier than a skinny woman." That story was picked up by a number of English language sites, including the Laugh Bible. According to a new study, men who are in relationships with chubby women tend to smile more and be better at dealing with problems than men who are in relationships with thin women. The study also shows that thin women tend to be more reserved, more unfriendly, and less expressive with their emotions. The Argentinian newspaper Nuevo Diario reports that on the findings from the research conducted by Dr. Filemon Alvarado and Dr. Eduardo Morales at UNAM's Department of Psychology. According to their research, chubby women make their own men 10 times as happy as thin women. And we all know that happy people live longer. The study also indicated that chubby women are better at anticipating their partner's needs. In terms of science journalism, a number of red flags were apparent off the bat. The easiest to spot would be the fact that not a single news report on this topic provided a link to the new study it referenced. Second, and perhaps more damning, is the fact that a quick Google Scholar search provides no evidence that anybody named Filemon Alvarado or Eduardo Morales ever published anything even remotely approaching this topic over at least the past 2 years. And third, a regular Google search on their names provided only links related to this one viral story. Additionally, the website of the psychology department at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, option 1 for UNAM, does not list anyone by either name as a faculty member, and the website for the National University of Misiones in Argentina, option 2 for UNAM, provides no evidence for the school that the school has a psychology department at all. The following documentable red flag is the fact that the alleged study, a thesis reportedly titled, I'm not going to give you the Spanish name, does not turn up in a search of either institution's websites. While we are not rating the claims of the study itself, we are rating its existence as unproven for the above reasons. We have reached out to both UNAMs and will update if either institution is able to clarify the confusion. So it seems like this could just be a hoax, or could it be yet another attempt on the part of the busted chicks to try to run their psyops on men? And that leads me back, ladies and gentlemen, to my conversation with Professor Buss. Now again, I sent him this and asked him his thoughts. And he said, again, and I'm going to read what he said. He says, I'd like to see the actual study that found this. I'm a bit skeptical that men married to fat women are 10 times as happy. Do you have a link to the actual scientific article? Here's my response to Professor Buss. No, I don't. Just the article that I sent along, which made me raise an eyebrow immediately upon seeing it. No citations or links back to these studies. Yeah, right. This is yet another example of what I was talking about during our interview last month. What unattractive women do to compete in the sexual marketplace. They attempt to change everyone's minds about them via fat shaming, slut shaming, and so forth. I see this article as an example of my pet theory in action, citing non-existent or otherwise bogus science to back up their claims. As we both know, women as a rule are much more sensitive to cultural and social cues than are men. In fact, and here I cite the book A Billion Wicked Thoughts, that link to the Amazon link that takes you over to, you can purchase the book A Billion Wicked Thoughts. I strongly urge and encourage my guys who listen to my show to get that book. That should be prominently placed on your library and well dog-eared. Women have a much harder time making good or sound mating decisions on their own. They heavily rely on the culture and social cues from others to assist them. This is one reason why the dating and relationship coaching industry is so top heavy with women, pardon the pun, because women rely on others' input on mating matters more than men do in the main and for the most part. Women who fail to measure up to what men want know that their ability to do so is limited. After all, even at this late date in the 21st century, a woman's ability to stave off father time and alter her physicality is limited. Black China is a recent case in point. So it's my theory that a lot of these women attempt to change everyone else via varying quasi-social means as per above. This is a heck of a research opportunity, Professor, And though I have to warn you that if you think you've been getting shit before, just wait until the word gets out that you're seriously studying the mating tactics and strategies of unattractive women. Hoo boy, best to get your helmet and flak jacket ready. I predict that we'll be seeing much more of these kinds of scientific articles and the like coming out in the media as more and more unattractive women in the eyes of men attempt to change their minds. Good luck with that one, ladies. And that was my response to Professor David M. Buss of the University of Texas at Austin, considered by all as one of the founding fathers of evolutionary psychology. I had him on my live show, Obsidian Radio Live, heard on the Blog Talk Radio Internet Radio Network last month for a conversation on his work as well as the zeitgeists of our time, of which is this idea of fat shaming, slut shaming, and all the rest. And he said in his interview, which was very, very, very interesting, and I'll put the link to a portion of the interview that you can hear for free here on YouTube. I'll put that in the comment section below. He mentioned the fact that attractive women had no problem with his work and researches in strategies of human mating, sexual conflict, and other areas of evolutionary psychology. The hot chicks had no problem with it. It was the fat and the fugly chicks that had a problem with his studies, and they were the ones that made the most noise. And if you just take a quick look around on the internet and find the women who have the most problems with evolutionary psychology, you're not going to find very many Olivia Munns in the crowd. Just to use her as a quick name off the top of my head. Usually you're going to find chicks that come a lot closer to Trickley Puff and Chanty Banks, and that tells you what's going on there. So this is what I predict. I predict that we're going to be, like I said in my response to Professor Buss, I predict we're going to see a lot more of this, bogus science and quasi, social media movements and all the rest of it to basically try to cajole and shame and browbeat men into accepting subpar women. Because that's what subpar women do. They know that they can't really make themselves over into, straight up hot chicks. Some women can improve on their appearance, no doubt. But, for most women, what men want in women, which is youth and beauty, those two things are largely out of the hands of women. You for the most part, you have to be born with good genes. And age, nobody can stop that. So, those two things are largely out of the reach of most women. And, what most women can do is they can nibble around the edges of it and they can make some changes here and there. But, if you're just busted, you're just busted. And there's not a lot you can do about it. So what has been going on in more recent years is that the busted chicks, i.e. the feminists, they have been attempting to reorder society so that they can have a shot at the mating game, particularly with those, the top 20% of guys or whatever. Of course, this doesn't work beyond, a drunken, hookup, late at night and nobody can find out about. But beyond that, it doesn't work. And that's just the plain truth. And, it makes sense that, people like Professor Buss would be targeted for getting shit, as he puts it, because his researches and studies are only confirming what we've already long known. See, unlike men, this is the great thing about being a guy. Because women have more attraction triggers than men do, and again, I'm citing Professor David M. Buss's book, The Evolution of Desire, Strategies in Human Mating. Guys have at least 10 different attraction triggers that they can work with, because women are attracted to a lot more things when it comes to men than the other way around. When it comes to women, men are pretty much attracted to youth and beauty. That's it. There's some attitudinal things, but for the most part, those are the two major factors. And again, like I said, a woman is a lot more limited in what she can do to mitigate those two factors than are men. A man doesn't have to, it would be nice if a man could be tall and handsome, but if he's smart, if he's wealthy, if he's industrious, he can make up in a big way for not being handsome or tall, whatever. You know what I mean? So, and men have a lot more ability to impact those changes on those things than women do. So I just thought this was a really interesting story, and I wanted to put that out there. Finally, let me just say this.